Good morning. Thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. This is a season of giving, of joy, of love, but it's also a time of profound sadness for a lot of people. It's a time to prepare your hearts. There are so many people who are alone at this time of year, alone and lonely. But you don't have to be lonely when you're alone. When you're alone with your own spiritual being, that side of you that is perfection, the higher side of you, the spiritual side of you that just knows everything is going to be all right, and that whatever you're going through is necessary for you to become a stronger, better version of you. You have infinite potential. There are infinite possibilities available to you. It just takes being still and tapping into that spiritual energy, giving thanks for what you have, for what you have gone through, and for what is yet to come. Entering into the spirit of what you desire, well-being, time and money, freedom, a purpose. Why are you here? What would you love to accomplish in this lifetime? What kind of a legacy would you leave? Not how much money you're going to leave to your family when you pass from this life, but how have you changed the world? What impact have you had on your family? What will people say about you after you're gone? And what can you do today that will make a difference in the lives of other people, especially the ones that you love? If you could do, be, have anything, what would that look like? What would that feel like? Getting into the spirit of it already accomplished, getting into what it's like now that it's here today. Would you be celebrating? Would you be comfortable, peaceful? Would you be enjoying something that you've only wished for? When you embody the spirit of it, that energy radiates from you, and the universe conspires to put all the pieces together to bring you all the resources, all the people, all the money, the circumstances, everything necessary for your dream to manifest into reality. Let's take a deep breath in and bring in that power, that energy, that enlightenment. I study every morning to gain knowledge, to not only gain knowledge, but to have an understanding and to build my faith that what I want is available. I just may not be experiencing yet in the physical realm, but when I know what I want and I feel as if I'm already there, then the world around morphs into what I want it to be: happy, healthy, wonderful, beautiful. Look around you at how wonderful the world is. You can see all kinds of darkness and horrors and problems in the world. But how would you know how wonderful your life is, how blessed you really are, without the contrast? When you decide what it is that you really want, know that it is available to you. You can think about it, you can imagine it, you can wish and hope for it. But when you get into the energy of what it's like to be that, to be healthy, to be happy, to be doing purposeful work, whatever it is that you want, it is attracted to you, it's drawn to you. Everything you need comes to you at the right time when you believe that it's meant for you. And if you have a picture of what you really want, that's the coming attractions for your life. You just need to be in harmony with that picture, getting into the feeling of it, getting into the spirit of it, getting emotionally involved, being completely embodying what you want. I'm going to read today from Thomas Troward, his book, The Hidden Power, chapter 18, Entering into the Spirit of It. Thomas Troward says, entering into the spirit of it. What a common expression, and yet how much it really means, how absolutely everything. We enter into the spirit of an undertaking, into the spirit of a movement, into the spirit of an author, even into the spirit of a game. And it makes all the difference, both to us and to that into which we enter. A game without any spirit is a poor affair, and association in which there is no spirit falls to pieces. And a spiritless undertaking is sure to be a failure. On the other hand, the book, which is meaningless to the unsympathizing reader, is full of life and suggestion to the one who enters into the spirit of the writer. The man who enters into the spirit of the music finds a spring of refreshment in some fine recital which is entirely missed by the cold critic who comes only to judge according to the standard of a rigid rule, and so on in every case that we can think of. If we do not enter into the spirit of a thing, it has no invigorating effect upon us, and we regard it as dull, insipid, and worthless. This is our everyday experience, and these are the words in which we express it. And the words are well chosen. They show our intuitive recognition of the spirit as the fundamental reality in everything, however small or however great. Let us be right as to the spirit of a thing, and everything else will successfully follow. Thomas Troward says, by entering into the spirit of anything, we establish a mutual vivifying action and reaction between it and ourselves. We vivify it with our own vitality, and it vivifies us with a living interest, which we call its spirit. And therefore, the more fully we enter into the spirit of all with which we are concerned, the more thoroughly do we become alive. The more completely we do this, the more we shall find that we are penetrating into the great secret of life. It may seem a truism, but the great secret of life is its livingness. And it is just more of this quality of livingness that we want to get a hold of. It is that good thing of which we can never have too much. But every fact implies also its negative. And we can never properly understand a thing until we not only know what it is, but also clearly understand what it is not. To a complete understanding, the knowledge of the negative is as necessary as the knowledge of the affirmative. For the perfect knowledge consists in realizing the relation between the two, and the perfect power grows out of this knowledge by enabling us to balance the affirmative and negative against each other in any proportion that we will, thus giving flexibility to what would otherwise be too rigid and form to what would otherwise be too fluid. And so by uniting these two extremes to produce any result we may desire. It is the old Hermetic saying, coagula e solve, solidify the fluid and dissolve the solid. And therefore, if we would discover the secret of entering into the spirit of it, we must get some idea of the negative, which is the not spirit, as well as as well as in various ages, the negative phase has been expressed in different forms of words suitable to the spirit of the time. So clothing this idea in the attire of the present day. Now keep in mind this was written in 1902. Thomas Troward summed up the opposite of spirit in the word mechanism, because in those days it was a mechanical age. And he says it is astonishing how great a part of what we call our social advance has its root in the mechanical arts. Reduce the mechanical arts to what they were in the days of the Plantagenets. Those were the kings of England from 1154 to 1485. And the greater part of our boasted civilization would recede through the centuries along with them. We may not be conscious of all this, but the mechanical tendency of the age has a firm grip upon society at large. At that time, they habitually looked at the mechanical side of things instead of the spiritual. Everything was done mechanically, from the carving on a piece of furniture to the arrangement of the social system. In those days, he said, it is the mechanism that was considered first, and the spirit demanded to be fitted to the mechanical exigencies. We enter into the spirit of it instead of the spirit of it. When we enter into the mechanism instead of the spirit of it, we limit the spirit and refuse to let it have its own way. And then as a consequence, we get entirely mechanical action and complete our circle of ignorance by supposing this is the only sort of action there is. Are you looking at the outside world as all there is, and that you have so many things to do, tasks to perform, things to get ready? Instead of forcing and pushing and doing, take some time to enter into the spirit of what you want to accomplish. Maybe a beautiful Christmas celebration, peace and harmony in your family, a job well done, entering into the spirit before you start a task, knowing that you have the energy of the world to carry you through. Everything is possible. Thomas Troward said, when we enter into the mechanism of it instead of into the spirit of it, we limit the spirit and refuse to let it have its own way. And then as a consequence, we get entirely mechanical action. And then we complete our circle of ignorance by supposing that this is the only sort of action there is. You look around in the outside world, you can see people are set in their ways and doing things as if they're mechanically inclined. Enter into the spirit of what you want to accomplish. We have to maintain our balance between the two extremes, neither denying the spirit nor the mechanism which is its form and through which it works. Troward says the one is as necessary to a perfect whole as the other, for there must be an outside as well as an inside. Only we must remember that the creative principle is always inside, and that the outside only exhibits what the inside creates. Whatever external effect we want to produce, we must first enter into the spirit of it and work upon the spiritual principle. For from without we can see only one small portion of the circumference, while from the center we can see the whole of it. If we fully grasp the truth that spirit is creator, we can dispense with the painful investigations into the mechanical side of our problems. If we are constructing from without, then we have to calculate anxiously the strength of our materials and the force of every thrust and strain to which they may be subjected. And the very possibly, after all, we may find that we've made a mistake somewhere in our elaborate calculations. But if we realize the power of creating from within, we shall find all these calculations correctly made for us, for the same spirit which is creator is also that which the Bible calls the wonderful numberer. Construction from without is based upon analysis, and no analysis is complete without accurate quantitative knowledge. But creation is the very opposite of analysis and carries its own mathematics with it. To enter into the spirit of anything, then, is to make yourself one in thought with the creative principle that is at the center of it. And therefore, why not go to the center of all things at once? Enter into the spirit of life. Do you ask where to find it? In yourself. And in proportion as you find it there, you will find it everywhere else. Look at life as the one thing that is, whether in you or around you. Try to realize the livingness of it and then seek to enter into the spirit of it by affirming it to be the whole of what you are. Affirm this continually in your thoughts, and by degrees, the affirmation will grow into a real living force within you so that it will become second nature to you. You will find it is possible. It's impossible and unnatural to think in any other way. The nearer you approach this point, the greater you will find your control over both your body and circumstances, until at last you shall so enter into the spirit of it, into the spirit of the divine creative power, which is the root of all things, that in the words of Jesus, nothing shall be impossible to you, because you have so entered into the spirit of it that you discover yourself to be one with it. Then all the old limitations will have passed away, and you will be living in an entirely new world of life, liberty, and love, of which you yourself are the radiating center. Everything is possible. You will realize the truth that your thought is a limitless creative power, and that you yourself are behind your thought, controlling and directing it with knowledge for any purpose which love motives and wisdom plans. Troward says, you will cease from your labors, your struggles, and anxieties, and enter into that new order where perfect rest is one with ceaseless activity. You are powerful beyond measure. Enter into the spirit of the goal that you desire to manifest into reality. The more you do, the more you give, the more you receive from the universe. When you bless others, you are rewarded from infinite. There may be times that you can help another person who could never help you back. You can create a beautiful world in your imagination and do something today that will lead you toward having that show up in your physical reality. How can you help this world more? What does the world need in order to have more and be more? You must move into doing more good for the world, giving more from your heart. You have an infinite storehouse available to you. Fill yourself with the spirit, the energy of the abundance that creates worlds, the abundance of love and joy, the abundance that is always flowing to and through you. In The Spirit of Opulence, also written by Thomas Troward, he says, if we clearly realize that the creative power in ourselves is unlimited, then there is no reason for limiting the extent to which we may enjoy what we can create by means of it. Where we are drawing from the infinite, we need never be afraid of taking more than our share. That is not where the danger lies. The danger is in not sufficiently realizing our own richness and in looking upon the externalized products of our creative power as being the true riches instead of the creative power of spirit itself. All things are yours. There is no need to limit ourselves in taking what we will from the infinite storehouse. And the way to avoid this error is by realizing that the true wealth is in identifying ourselves with the spirit of opulence. We must be opulent in our thought. Do not think money as such, for it is only one means of opulence, but think opulence that is largely, generously, liberally, And you will find that the means of realizing this thought will flow to you from all quarters. All quarters, whether as money or as 100 other things not to be reckoned in cash. We must not make ourselves dependent on any particular form of wealth or insist on it coming to us through some particular channel. That is at once to impose a limitation and to shut out other forms of wealth and to close other channels. We must enter into the spirit of life. And throughout the universe, life ultimately consists in circulation, whether within the physical body or on the scale of the entire solar system. Circulation means a continual flowing around. The spirit of opulence is no exception to this universal flow of all life. When once this principle becomes clear to us, we shall see that our attention should be directed to the giving rather than to the receiving. We must look upon ourselves not as misers' chests to be kept locked for our own benefit, but as centers of distribution. And the better we fulfill our function as such centers, the greater will be the corresponding inflow. We live in an infinite universe. Give from the heart, give without expectation, and you will be blessed beyond your imagination. Enjoy your day. Create a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. I'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 7. And for my clients, we're going to talk about expanding your mind. Thank you. I'll see you back here at 9 o'clock.